Welcome to 2 Hours No Traffic, a New York, Philadelphia sports podcast. We are your hosts. I'm Spen Harris. He's Philly Brandon. It is November 9th, 2022, and the city of Philadelphia has come crashing back down to earth.
Yeah. I think that last we spoke on this podcast, you weren't able to make it, but we replaced you with my good buddy Trilly and another part of the Crossing Broad family, our new friend, the Coggin Toboggan. And we were living it up. We were having beers. We were talking about how great everything was. Life is amazing, unicorns and rainbows. And then not a week later, Philadelphia became the first city to lose two major sports championships in the same day. So a real roller coaster ride for everybody in the city. It was the best of times. It was the worst of times. What is a side note that I didn't get to bring up, we didn't do one, might not have been last week, but I think we missed the podcast. But an adult film company called Cam Soda sent 55-gallon drums of lube to City Hall to combat with pole climbers in Philadelphia.
Okay. I mean, that's one way to fight against it, I guess.
Yeah, so I mean, I think I put it out. It might have been on ours or my personal one, but either the Phillies were going to win the World Series and we'd have to be climbing telephone poles, or we're now prepared to host the largest orgy in Philadelphia history. So either way, it sounds like a win.
Yeah, no, definitely a win that property wasn't destroyed, right? I think if you guys win the World Series, there's a chance at some riots. I'd like to say more than a chance.
It's pretty much a guarantee, especially if both teams won, if the Union won and the Phillies won. Yeah, I mean, Philadelphia doesn't have the infrastructure to support what would have gone down. I'm not sure how piped in you are to like alternative Philly media, but the day after losing the World Series, city's down bad. We need a hero. A man goes out on an abandoned pier behind Walmart and he eats his 40th consecutive rotisserie chicken in front of a crowd of about 400 people. So when we needed him most, Philadelphia's most unlikely hero stepped up, then went on Good Morning America the next day and said he hates chicken. He just thought the city needed something to do.
So I love nothing more than people eating absurd amounts of food. I think it's an American pastime that people take, what's a normal portion and they times it by 50 and decide that's good to eat in one sitting. I admire people like that. Joey Chestnut is a hero of mine. Kobayashi in his prime. Even Adam Richman, familiar?
Yeah. Oh my God, dude, Man versus Food.
I mean, the original. He was the OG.
Yeah.
Now they got this orange-headed guy in there. I don't even know his name. Very forgettable. Love people like that, though. So, yeah, this guy, he'll never have to pay for another rotisserie chicken in Philadelphia again.
There's an awesome picture, and I'll send it to you off air. I'll post it on our podcast account. But a photographer was there, and this guy's wearing, for lack of a better term, a wife beater, black jacket and jeans, black hair, slicked back. And the guy got it with a crowd going wild in black and white. You could tell somebody it was Bruce Springsteen's early years, and everybody would believe it. And it's really just a schmuck who ate 40 full rotisserie chickens.
All right. That's what you guys needed. He delivered.
Yeah, it is. We needed a hero. I need a hero. No, never mind. Okay, whatever. So let's check back in on the NBA now that we can stop talking about baseball. I went to a game. It was, what was it, Tuesday night? Yeah, Tuesday night. Monday night. I forget. One of those two. Sixers Suns. Expected to get, trounced. Embiid wasn't supposed to play. Harden isn't playing for another month. And we handed the Suns their worst loss of the season. Held them to 88 points. Chris Paul did get hurt in the first quarter, but we didn't have Harden. They didn't have Chris Paul. I kind of call that a push. Sixers looked like trash. It was 100-82 in the end. Neither team played well, but we played an ugly game better, which at this point in the season, below 500, a win's a win.
Yeah. I give you guys a lot of respect for going in there. I was sending you some some storylines right before that game, and they were all negative. It was all like, body language of James Harden and Joel Embiid is not good. They don't like playing with each other, all that jazz.
It's so tired.
Yeah, and it sounded lazy. You said that Joel was not expected to play. He played in that game. Did Harden play in that game?
No, Harden. So Joel was out with a non-COVID illness.
Harden's out.
Harden will not play for a month.
Yeah,
that's
I
for
forgot
sure.
that. That's
Joe didn't look great.
Okay.
He gave us 31, which I know sounds ridiculous, but I mean, when it wasn't a dominant 31. It was at the free throw line. It was, a couple of tough shots he shouldn't have taken. He looked still sick, but we definitely needed him. And just to touch on, I mean, you and I were talking about the Harden thing, and you've obviously gone through this yourself. And he was supposed to have been the problem in Brooklyn. It turned out that problem goes way deeper, which we'll get into in a couple of minutes. But it's just so exhausting that it seems like NBA Twitter, NBA writers, they have like 5 guys that no matter the situation, they've decided this guy's a problem. James Harden has come back into the season in the best shape of his career since Houston. He and Joel Embiid created an instant 1-2 punch last year that their pick and roll game is just about unstoppable and seamless. And they don't hang out. Joel Embiid doesn't leave his house. Like, there's no beef that can be started off the basketball court. And on the court, they're great together. It's just exhausting. Everywhere James Harden goes, it's, oh, well, James Harden's the problem. James Harden's this. He's not even on the court. Like, there haven't been a blow-up. There hasn't been an argument. It's just so exhausting that, there's smaller storylines. There's guys in, like, Utah's playing great basketball right now. Like, there's teams that they should be focusing on, but they just write the same article. Russell Westbrook sucks. James Harden's a problem. Like, is Steph Curry the best point guard ever? LeBron, like, just do some interesting reporting. I'm begging you.
Yeah, I'm with you. When James Harden made his exit out of Brooklyn, you and I covered that pretty closely. And I think if you recall, I was furious with him. I really was just like, he was public enemy number 1 for me at that moment. As time has showed, I probably can't be as mad at him now as I was then, because there were a lot of extenuating circumstances as to why he wanted out of Brooklyn. Now, he has no excuses in Philly. That's my thing with James Harden. He has to make it work, because if he doesn't make it work with Embiid and Doc Rivers, then we start to see a pattern. Okay, now this is, how many teams have you basically gone to and it ended poorly? So it's an offensive foul. I'm watching the Nets game. The Nets are playing the Knicks. They're up 23 in the third quarter. Sorry, this is the best basketball I've watched this team play in a while. But yeah, you guys are just, like, if you fail with Embiid and Harden, I don't know, you'd have to find someone else to pair with Embiid, and you're locked to Harden for a few years now.
And that's the tough part, because, I mean, we're at the point, in my opinion, we're at where I think the Nets were last year, and you and I talked about it, where there's championship or bust, which you get for maybe you get a year and a mulligan. We're kind of in that mulligan year, where if you don't do it this year, then some serious decisions have to be made. And I don't know how the team gets better. I mean, Tyrese Maxey's a budding star. Joel Embiid, and for my money, is still the most dominant big man in basketball. And, I mean, James Harden is still a double-double machine. So it's like, if this team can't do it, what more do we need to bring in to make this happen? We went out and got the role guys. We went out and got D'Anthony Melton. We went out and got Montrezl Harrell. We went and got PJ Tucker. We built the bench up. It's if this team doesn't do it, what is? And I know the easy answer is Doc Rivers. I hate him too, but is he the only reason we're not winning? I don't know.
We're getting too into this team. You went to the game that they won 100-88. Yeah. Whenever you go to a game, Brandon, in this day and age, we have a favorite moment. So talk to me. What was your favorite moment from the game? Was it a basketball play? Was it something you ate? Give me some details.
Oh, man, my favorite moment from that game, it was a series of moments. There was in the fourth quarter, probably the first 5-6 minutes, Embiid's on the bench. Toby was red hot in the first half, couldn't get anything going. Tyrese Maxey was ice cold the whole game. George Niang went 7 for 10 from 3 and just pretty much kept us alive in the fourth. We lose that game if Niang doesn't turn into peak Reggie Miller from deep. So
21
that was
points for Niang. That's pretty impressive.
All on threes. That was the most electric part of an otherwise, like I said, it was an ugly game. There wasn't a big dunk, a breakaway, but George Niang catching fire was definitely the turning point in that game.
All right, there you have it. Good game to go to. You guys are what, 5-6 right now?
5-6. Brutal schedule coming up. We got to deal with Atlanta. We got to deal with Cleveland. We got to deal with Milwaukee. So it's a really rough stretch for another 500 team without James Harden.
How good is Cleveland right now? They're the
Cleveland's-
best team in the East.
Yeah, I mean, and you saw that kind of. Cleveland was a competitive team last year. They gave both of our teams fits, and then they went and added Donovan Mitchell.
Bro, he's a stud, and he's
Mhm.
playing with Evan Mobley and Jared Allen and Darius Garland. Those three guys are studs. You still have Karis LeVert. Karis LeVert is a very good player, stud. Kevin
Yeah.
Love coming off the bench, champion stud.
They're a really well-built team.
I just called like 7 dudes studs. My brother would be so proud of me.
Some of them didn't deserve it.
My
Kevin
brother
Love's stud days have
loves
since
to
passed.
recognize. Nicky loves to recognize my brother handsome men. That's a big thing for him.
Hey, I mean, I'm with it. Ryan Reynolds
Yeah.
is mine.
Ugh,
You're not.
not for me, dude. I like Ryan Reynolds, but I don't know, man. No one has talked more in front of a camera
Mhm.
that like Ryan Reynolds, in my opinion, about like movies and stuff for the past, I don't know, 10 years. And more like 4 years. He's been
That's what they,
relatively in my
that's
in
what
my
they
face
do.
for 4 years. I know. All right. You want to get to my Brooklyn Nets for a minute?
I would love to, because I mean, you and I talk about it, and I know it's a painful subject to touch on, but for me on the outside, you guys are the best. You're the best, like sitcom, dramedy, whatever in basketball. Like it's fun to talk about.
So for me right now, I'm going to give you 2 metaphors. One's going to be the Brooklyn Nets. The Brooklyn Nets are like the Big Bang Theory. People rave about them. I don't see what the big deal is. It's a terrible comparison. No, they're just they're still on. No, I'm not even going to try to compare them. Here's my comparison. This is a better metaphor. That was terrible. I don't know where I was going with that. I hate the
Me
Big Bang
either. It
Theory.
didn't make any sense.
Kyrie Irving and the Nets are like you dating someone who's toxic, who you know you shouldn't be with, but they keep coming back to you anyway. How does that sound?
I think Toxic's putting it lightly. I think
Yeah.
the kind of red flags he's thrown up would be like an insta divorce. But we can call it toxic.
Yeah, I don't want to get into the Kyrie stuff too much. I'm Jewish. He promoted a documentary with some anti-Semitic rhetoric. Nets called him out. He didn't apologize at first. They called him out again. He didn't apologize again. And then they suspended him 5 games. And everyone's like,
That's too much.
they suspended him 5 games. And then the Nets came back and said, well, here's what he has to do in order to play again. He's got to not play 5 games and do all these different, go to a sensitivity training course, anti-Semitic course. And people are very unhappy with the rules that the Nets want Kyrie to follow to come back. Or I don't even know what you'd call them. I guess guideline. Like what would you
Yeah.
call them?
I don't think I'd say
I don't know what it's called.
guidelines.
Anyway, so it's a crazy situation. We're not going to get into it, but I'll tell you this. Yeah, I'm sorry. Go on.
No, I mean I saw you guys did dodge a bit of a moral bullet.
Yeah.
And hire Jacques Vaughn to finish the season, which I think was the right call all along.
Yeah, so that was interesting, right? The Nets fire Steve Nash after a win, no less.
That dude's got to be
And,
so happy.
Yeah, the thought process was they were going to bring on Ime Udoka, who has ties to the Nets. He was an assistant here before he was the head coach of the Celtics.
He's got ties to a couple things.
There were a lot of people that were unhappy with the thought of him coming and coaching with the Brooklyn Nets. Probably
Can't
women
imagine why.
who work within the organization. Josiah had a problem with it. The NBA had a problem with it. And then all the Kyrie stuff that I just explained earlier happened after it came out that they were thinking of hiring it. No, that's not true. Did it happen while Steve Nash was? Yeah, it happened while Steve Nash was still head coach. I'm sorry. So anyway, the Nets had these 2 terrible moral dilemmas they're facing, and they said, you know what? We're not going to hire Udoka. It's just not the right time. It doesn't make sense. And this team, we don't even know what they are. So why would we hire a controversial coach who can maybe bring us to a championship where we might not even be a playing team? So the Nets decided to hire Jacques Vaughn full-time. I like the hire. I think it's a good opportunity for him. He's been with this group for a while. He's someone the players listen to. And you can see a different kind of energy just from the jump in ball games since they've been playing for Vaughn. So
There's something about it.
Yeah.
The Phillies obviously just did it. I'm begging the Sixers to do it. Like, I think no matter how good of a coach you are, and unless you're a great one, your voice gets tired. the guys get tired of hearing you. I mean, you got to figure, like, even really good coaches have gone other places and won title because they overstayed their welcome in the first spot. So, I mean, I think changing coaches midway through the season is not the death sentence people pretend it is. I think if you have like a veteran team, which you guys kind of do, you have
we have a mix.
leadership.
It was like peeling off a Band-Aid, man. I mean, the Nets breakup was a long time coming. Since Kevin Durant said, I don't want Steve Nash as my head coach, you kind of assume that unless things went perfectly, he wasn't going to stay there.
What's funny though is like the reason in my opinion, the reason he got fired is the reason you brought him there. He was never a head coach. He was always supposed to come in and just kind of be a figurehead on the bench because Kyrie, KD, they wanted to bring in superstars and not have a coach that was going to coach those superstars, which in the end is I think what got him canned because you can't get by like that.
Yeah, that makes sense. Also, I don't think any of the players respected him anymore. I don't think they wanted to listen to him anymore. I think they were just tired of the same old boring Steve Nash narrative.
That's where it comes from, though. If you have no authority behind you and no one listens, what are you doing there? I think Jacques Vaughn will be a nice change of pace. But on the bright side,
I love it. I love Jacques Vaughn. Yeah. Former net, played under behind Jason Kidd back in the day. Been in the league for a while as an assistant, coached the Magic for a few years, wasn't successful, but who is their first time at coaching?
Yeah.
I like it.
He's had a good run as an assistant. He's been an assistant in a lot of successful places. But your other team made a coaching change in the offseason that is just working out swimmingly. The G-Men, even though they lost this week, just watching them play, you can tell there's a difference. I mean, granted, the Packers win looks worse now. They've dropped 5 in a row. But you're beating the team you're supposed to beat, and that's the first step for building a team.
Yeah, first of all, they were on a bye this week. Didn't want to correct you, but their last game they lost to the Seahawks. Look, G-Men have been very impressive this year, and they're doing it not with the most talented roster in the world, but they're doing it with just smart play and smart coaching and not making mistakes, not kicking yourself in the foot every game. Daniel Jones playing really high IQ football this year. Give him credit. Barkley's been a monster. And then, on the defensive side of things, Wink Martindale has been an awesome defensive coordinator. Dude. He's been great. I mean, no team has scored more than 30 points against the Giants all season, which is sick. Love to see that. They're 6-2. And they don't have that tough of a second half of a schedule. I mean, we got you guys in Dallas. We have Dallas once and you guys twice in Minnesota. Those are our hardest games.
That's 4 tough games, though.
Sure. We got Detroit, Indianapolis, Washington, Houston.
Those are all wins. Who knows what Jeff Saturday is going to do in Indy? I definitely want to talk about that later.
Yeah, we got to touch on that. I like the Giants' chances.
For what?
To make the playoffs.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it's going to be – you're going to have to outrun Dallas, I think.
I think we can do that.
Because I don't see the Eagles slipping to the point where, either Dallas or the Giants could pass us. Just look at the rest of our schedule. It's just really not a difficult schedule at all. We had to play the Packers later on. That game is no longer concerning.
Packers are
to me.
Stinky.
Yeah. So even the difficult games are easy now. So I mean, I think that team could probably win 13 games, maybe more. But yeah, I memean, it'd be fun to see the G-Men back in the playoffs. The Eagles aren't exciting. It's weird. We're 8-0, which should be awesome, but it's just the way they're winning. They're doing enough to win, which is what matters. But we haven't looked like that dominant team since really the Minnesota game. So I'm waiting to see I'm waiting.
You guys haven't lost this season.
No, I know, but I'm waiting to see the offense put a full game together. We've typically been a great second quarter team and a good fourth quarter team. We get off the slow starts, and the third quarter has been kind of a nightmare. So I would like to see him put a full 4 quarters together. But I mean, I know I'm asking for a lot, but it's just when it matters. The regular season doesn't matter to me anymore. We're going to make the playoffs. In the playoffs against good teams, you need to play 4 good quarters. And that's just kind of what I'm waiting for this team to do.
Is Jalen Hurts the NFL MVP up to this point?
I think he should be. I think it's ridiculous. I've been hearing that Patrick Mahomes is a god among men, and I get it. He's great. The MVP is the most valuable player to your team. The Eagles' offense doesn't do what it does without Jalen Hurts. His legs have saved dozens of back-breaking possessions. He's carried dudes into the end zone. He's put the team on his back. I think there's no reason that he shouldn't be in the MVP conversation. If he loses to Patrick Mahomes down the stretch, I could get it. But the fact that we're only talking about Mahomes, I heard Lamar, again, look a little bit beneath the surface. Jalen Hurts is having an incredible season. You don't always have to give it to Lamar and Pat Mahomes.
I'm with you. I don't think Lamar is close. I think right now it's Josh Allen, Pat Mahomes, and Jalen Hurts. I think it's a
and Josh Allen's going to be out for a little bit. It sounds like.
Yeah.
Which
yeah,
I don't wish anybody. I actually really like Josh Allen as a football player, but
I would give it a Hurts right now up to this point if I could.
If your team's undefeated, that's what it comes down to.
I did want to get back to the Giants real quick. 2 bits of news. Potential Odell Beckham Jr. reunion with the Giants. He's also looking at the Cowboys and several other teams that I forgot. Where do you want to see Odell play next?
I don't want him to go to the division, obvious reasons. I'd like to see him go to Green Bay. I think it'd be fun. I'd give Rodgers a receiver to work with and see if he can resurrect this team.
If you're Odell, do you want to go to a 3-5? I mean, I guess to play with Rodgers, it's like, why not?
They're not a 3-5 team. I know they are on paper, but if you're Odell, you know that if you go there, it changes the team dramatically.
Yeah.
Or Baltimore. Baltimore would be kind of fun too. Just keep him out of the division.
I would love to see him back on the Giants, but I think that's a pipe dream. I don't know if he does that again. What about
we got to talk Jeff Saturday.
We'll talk Jeff Saturday real quick. Giants safety hurt himself ATVing, messed up his hand. You see that as Xavier McKinney. You don't mind it?
I really don't mind it. These guys got to have lives.
I don't mind it because ATVing's sick. I ever tell you about the time I went ATVing in Vegas, and there was a girl on the tour, and she had one arm. And I overheard her talking to the tour guide, and she goes, "Yeah, I lost my arm in an ATVing accident," which is wild. All right, let's talk about the Colts. Yeah, let's talk about Jeff Saturday. So the Colts come out and fire Frank Reich this week, and they immediately hire Jeff Saturday, who has no coaching experience, none whatsoever. Jim Irsay comes out. He said, "This is my guy." Everyone is obviously
conference?
Yeah.
Great.
Everyone's obviously outraged because why would you hire a guy who has no coaching experience, a white guy, and not give a minority football coach a head coaching chance? Then he has the awkward press conference as you brought up, where he basically is just like, I asked Jim Irsay, why am I a candidate for this job?
Yeah, I didn't mind Jeff Saturday. His was honest. He was thinking what we're all thinking. The Jim Irsay one, when it was, we're in the upper quartile of winners, and I know how to build a team, and it's like, dude, you haven't been relevant in a real long time. Since Peyton left, your team's been average at best.
You can't say I know football, I know how to build a team and have a different quarterback every single year. You just can't say it. 5
seasons consecutively with a different starter. That's not what good football teams do. I don't think Jeff Saturday can fix it. I get why he brings him in. The vibes around that team are so absolutely horrible right now. I think Jeff Saturday is so beloved among Colts fans that might buy Jim Irsay some goodwill. But it can't be a football move. It's absolutely got to be a PR, one of us kind of move.
All right, can I give Jeff Saturday some advice if he wants how to fix this?
Sure.
Make Reggie Wayne your offensive coordinator, and then hire Dwight Freeney as your defensive coordinator.
That'd be kind of
just have those amazing. I would have said hire Peyton Manning, but he's not taking that job.
He's got a nice gig with Monday Night Football. Well, dude,
hey, Jeff.
I'm sure Reggie Wayne's free if he's not getting Marvin Harrison on the.
I think he's on the coaching staff of the Colts.
Maybe.
I think I'm going to take a look, but I heard that
he's probably the receivers coach, if I would assume.
Yeah, when people were upset, they were saying Reggie Wayne has coaching experience, so why not consider him? Yeah, Colts hired Reggie Wayne as the wide receivers coach this year.
That'd be an easier one. He's equally beloved, and he's already in the building.
It's just going to be weird to see like Jeff Saturday because we've seen him as an analyst for all these years. To see him on the sideline, it's going to be odd.
And he's never applied. Like I'm like ESPN has all these analysts. Like Louis Riddick goes up every year for GM jobs, never gets it. Like there's always these guys at ESPN who like might go back and coach. He's never expressed any interest in coaching. Like
I know.
I don't think he even asked. I think Irsay called him and said, "Hey, do you want to coach the team?" Which is a wild saying for me for an NFL team. Like that's absurd.
Yeah, no, that's insane. All right, do we have any other news in the NFL? I mean, you wanted to talk a little bit about Seattle.
I mean,
it's kind of wild that they're one of the better teams in football, and Geno Smith's their starting quarterback. Who would have thought?
Geno Smith is making them look brilliant because you can only imagine. I mean, we know what Denver's paying for Russell Wilson, and I think Geno Smith is playing laps around Russell Wilson this season. And Seattle's good. I mean, I like when Seattle's good. They always build their team in kind of a fun way. Like you don't get a ton of big name free agents. They're usually like homegrown guys. I mean, I don't like Pete Carroll necessarily, but I'm all in on rooting for Geno Smith. He was a Jet for a little while. Famously didn't work out too well, and he's getting another shot at life.
He was a Giant too. You remember that?
Yeah, I forget.
He broke Eli Manning's consecutive starting game streak. And every Giants fan, yeah, there is. So when Ben McAdoo was the coach, Giants were absolute ass that season.
Oh, you mean he's the one that ended the streak?
That's what I meant. Yeah,
I thought what you were saying. He started more games than Eli. I was like, there is
no.
absolutely no.
I'm sorry. He ended his streak. You're right. He didn't break his streak.
That
makes a lot more sense. Yeah, no, it's been really entertaining to watch. And I'll tell you this, man. Seattle always has the best running backs. Like every single year they groom, obviously it was Lynch back in the day. Then, it was Chris Carson for a few years. Now it's this Kenneth Walker guy. This guy is insane.
Yeah. That's what I was just saying about the free agents. Like they have a way of just like, there's no farm system in football necessarily, but Seattle has some kind of a pipeline to unheard of talent to where it just funnels in every year. I'm sure they develop their guys great, but they build a team so strangely. They build a team like they're in the MLB.
Very interesting game coming up. Seahawks at Tampa Bay, a team that has sort of surprised people with how good they've played in the Seahawks, and a team that's really not played up to their potential in the Buccaneers. They are coming off a win against the Rams last week.
Did you watch that game, though?
It was a bad game. It was a bad game.
I wanted to spoon my eyes out. 10-6 in the fourth between those two teams.
Do you think Brady's done at this point?
He doesn't look the same, for what it's worth. I mean, I'm
not going to count him out, though.
Me either. I mean, you saw that drive in the fourth quarter. He can still dial it up when he needs to, but you're not used to seeing the amount of dysfunction from a Brady team as you're seeing from the Bucs. They're not organized. They don't seem to be like working together well, and then usually he demands all that. So something's different. I don't know what it is. I'm sure he's busy, with his supermodel wife leaving him. That's got to take up a lot of time. I wouldn't know.
How do you think a guy like Tom Brady approaches being single?
I'm sure he's beating them off with a stick. Like it can't be that. It's not like when you and I are single. It's a different experience.
What is his go-to line? Like, hey, I'm Tom Brady.
That's pretty much it.
Is he done after that?
Yeah, and if she's impressed, then you're in. If she doesn't, then she lives under a rock. Either way, you're probably hitting that later.
Yeah, I don't know. He must have a way with ladies. He's a handsome guy.
Have you seen his ex-wife?
I have. Yeah.
Do you love anything enough to have Gisele Bundchen go, "Hey, look, I think we need to spend more time together," and you go, "Yeah, but insert blank here."
I'd take a Nets championship over Gisele.
It's something I can't even say. I'm sorry.
Easy. I'd take a good pie of pizza over Gisele.
Oh my God. Now you're just talking out of your ass.
I'm not a Gisele guy.
For sure.
Oh man. All right. We got anything else to talk about? Ben Simmons for 2. Let's go, Ben Simmons.
Dude, he has been so bad, and it's awesome. I love it. You've always been a realist, so I don't brag about it on this podcast very much. I have so many Nets fans that told me I was the problem. Philly was toxic. We're crazy. And then they're doing the same thing I used to do. Don't worry about the three, Ben. Just do mid-range. Don't worry about the mid-range, Ben. Just get in the paint. I don't even care if you score, Ben. Play defense. I've been there. I'm watching them go through the steps, and man, is it great.
So you got a big I told you so. I
Oh,
get that. That makes a lot of sense. I'll tell you this. Is he our second best player? No. Is he our third best player? No.
Probably.
No, he's not. He's not even our
Seth
fourth
Curry.
best player. Yeah, I right now he's coming off the bench as like our seventh guy. It's a pretty good seventh guy.
Dude, but he's always been a great seventh guy. You're paying him $180 million.
I'm not paying him shit. Okay, that's Josiah. I don't spend no money on these guys.
As long as Josiah's cool with opening the bank for a role guy. I mean, while he's at it, I'll sell him a T. Steibel for a cool $50 million.
Oh man! All right, I think we can call it a night. I remember when this show was called The Last Resort. You know why? Because this is still the last place you'd go to get your legitimate sports opinions. But we have graduated. Yeah.
I thought this over. Originally, it was self-deprecating. The last place you would look for this and this. Flip that around. It's the last place you'd look because you don't need anything else.
That's a great point, Brandon. We've graduated. We're 2 hours, no traffic now. So you can listen to us if you drove from New Jersey to Philadelphia. Or is it New York, did we decide?
It's I think it's New York to Philly.
New York to Philly in 2 hours, and you can listen to the whole podcast 4 times in 2 hours.
Yeah, or 4
usually
episodes.
Do like 30 minutes.
We have quite the library over the last 2.5 years.
Take a look. Thank you guys for listening to another edition of 2 Hours No Traffic, a New York, Philadelphia sports podcast with Spen Harris and Philly Brandon. We appreciate you guys for stopping in.
Shout out to Sideline Sports.
Shout out.